drug the family out on the lawn face down looking for this woman who had left her family as well. But they drugged the husband, drugged the kids out, loaded guns to their face, flat down on the ground. That's the Department of Education looking for their money. That's what happens to these bureaucracies. They come in to allocate resources, then they take over these resources as if they're theirs, and then they start doling them out to their political buddies, just like we saw in Nevada. Just like they're shutting down ranchers so they can help solar power farms. These power brokers, literally political power brokers, but I guess in that case they really are literally power brokers. They're also now going to, if this goes through, they will shut down political speech. Because why? They see liberal talk radio and many other places. They see that as an endangered species, just like they're trying to use the idea that the tortoise is their basis for what they're doing out there in terms of shutting down ranchers. So they're going to protect the endangered tortoise, or they're going to protect the endangered liberal, but also look at the reflective instincts of these authoritarians. And of course, the BLM, when they came out there, the first thing they started doing was pointing loaded guns in people's faces, drawing lines, telling people you cross into this area, we'll take you down, and they did, violently. And they put up free speech areas, cordoned off free speech. One of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. We've seen this happen in cities before, and it hasn't gotten all that much attention, but for the last two political cycles, at least the last two political elections where they had the big political conventions in 8 and in 12, they moved protesters way off site for both political parties, put them in many cases into cages. Those were the free speech areas. To see them do this out in the middle of the wilderness is even more absurd, even more like something out of a Kafka novel. But that's their heart. That's what these guys do. They metastasize, they take over, you give them a job to just allocate resources, and they want to take this all over. And we've seen this with the FCC and their content survey that just came out a couple of months ago. They are on a roll, and they've been given the authority by a court. Now, well, that makes us question as to whether or not the courts should be the ultimate authority, and that is something that we really need to step back and look at, the balance of power. The whole idea of judicial review, Marbury versus Madison. Earlier in the week, we had the Supreme Court say that local governments, they graciously allowed them to have a Christian prayer. Well, that's fine. I'm glad they made that decision, but really, that isn't their decision. The First Amendment says Congress shall make no law. And that means that that's a restriction on the federal government to not abridge freedoms that we have, rights that we have that are transcendent over anything that the government is handing out to us. But they want to make these into privileges. They want to regulate them and moderate them in a way that they turn them into privileges. They want to pretend that the Supreme Court can come in and modify the Constitution, can amend it with their decisions. A very dangerous idea. And we see now that this federal government, instead of being a divided government, the federal government has consolidated and is now doling out power amongst the different fiefdoms, the different bureaucracies as to who's going to get which territory. A very, very dangerous idea. So, you know, when people look at this thing that happened in Nevada and they don't understand what's going on with the bureaucracies, they don't understand the authoritarian urges, they don't understand the metastasizing federal bureaucracy, that was the real danger. The real danger above and beyond the disputes, and there are real legitimate disputes as to where the power should lie between the states and the federal government, where these jurisdictions should lie, how these laws are being applied. But even the greater issue there is the civil rights issue, the free speech issue. Notice that they took that down right away, and that's what we have to worry about here with the FCC, but it also is part of the oligarchy. This is going to be used to shut down people who are rising up. That's why these venture capitalists are coming out against it. They see this is going to shut down new emerging businesses as they come out. Very concerned about that. We're going to be right back, and we're going to talk about what the Pope is talking about, and that is redistributing wealth. Coming up in the next segment. Stay with us.
Harvest Right is the world's first in-home freeze dryer. Freeze dry your own fruits, vegetables, meats, and full meals. With Harvest Right, you can prepare foods that last 25 years, preserving its freshness, nutrition, color, and taste. All your food can be freeze-dried. So don't throw away your leftovers. Freeze-dry them with this incredible in-home money-saving freeze dryer. Go to HarvestRight.com to see how the Harvest Right freeze dryer works. That's HarvestRight.com.
Warnings of an American collapse hit us nearly every day. Gear up while you still can with Infidel Body Armor. Don't spend between $500 and $600. Infidel is available for just $374.99 with free shipping within the U.S. Made in America and legal in all 50 states. Resist tyranny with Infidel Body Armor. Buy yours today at InfidelBodyArmor.com. Spelled I-N-F-I-D-E-L BodyArmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
A 30-day GMO-free emergency food supply for only $99 at 30dayfoodsupply.com. You can purchase Oregon Trail Foods' 1-month supply of high-quality, nutritious, and healthy emergency meals. For less than $100, these vegetarian meals are naturally high in fiber, carbs, and protein, and they're packed with oxygen absorbers in Mylar pouches. They're completely free of any artificial flavors and colorings, have a 20-year shelf life, and take up to 70% less space than number 10 cans. They even offer a gluten-free option. Oregon Trail Foods and 30dayfoodsupply.com keep prices low by buying directly from the producers in Oregon and then passing the savings to you. Purchase a 30-day, 90-serving emergency food supply for only $99 this month, and $10 ships your entire order. Visit the website at 30dayfoodsupply.com or call 541-229-0010. That's 30dayfoodsupply.com, where they make preparedness affordable. 30dayfoodsupply.com.
A chemical spill contaminating the water supply in 9 West Virginia counties.
This year alone, over 300,000 people in West Virginia had their drinking water contaminated.
What are the health effects of having these drugs in our drinking water?
It's forced medical treatment without the consent of residents.
My friends, water filtration is one of the most basic actions you can take to protect you and your family from the harmful toxins and heavy metals in your tap water.
On average, the county says it sprays with the glyphosate at least once a week.
Few filters cut out the glyphosate that is found in water supplies worldwide. Remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, hydrofluorosilicic acid, sodium hexafluorosilicate.
Fluoride, it is in tea, it's in coffee, it's in water, it's in bread, it's in toothpaste.
It is our responsibility to protect our families. The establishment's not going to do it. It's time to take action. It's time to filter our water. Visit InfoWarsStore.com and use promo code WATER to get 10% off their entire family of incredible products. Or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
To thank you for being a loyal listener, we have a limited time freebie offer for you. Claim your free heirloom tomato seeds, just pay shipping, right now at 123freeseeds.com. These aren't ordinary seeds. These are heirloom, non-genetically modified super seeds that are open pollinated and can be grown, harvested, and replanted endlessly. These survival seeds are actually more valuable than gold in a crisis. Go to 123freeseeds.com and you can get an airtight storage packet of 150 super seeds free while supplies last to say thank you for being a loyal listener. First come, first served. Just cover shipping. Go to 123freeseeds.com now to see if your free heirloom seeds are still available. That's 123freeseeds.com.
I hurt myself today to see if I...
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and Alex is going to be joining us in the third hour to talk to Alice Walker. Now, you don't want to miss this interview. It's going to be very interesting. She's, of course, the author of The Color Purple, very famous movie by Steven Spielberg based on that book. She won a Pulitzer Prize for that, and, of course, she's done a lot of other things as well. She's an internationally celebrated author, poet, and activist. She's written 7 novels, 4 collections of short stories, 4 children's books, and Alex is going to be interviewing her in the third hour. Now, speaking of celebrities and Hollywood and Spielberg, there are massive protests that are swelling up at the Beverly Hills Hotel, We've got celebrities like Jay Leno and other people protesting this hotel. And this hotel is one of the most famous hotels in Beverly Hills. They say here in the article from the Wall Street Journal that Elizabeth Taylor stayed there for 6 of her 8 honeymoons. So it's now, it says, the unlikely epicenter of a protest against a new set of harsh laws enacted by the Islamic country of Brunei. And, of course, the hotel is part of a chain of hotels that are owned by the Sultan of Brunei. And Brunei has just gone to Sharia law. Very harsh penalties for women, very harsh penalties for many things, of course. In Sharia law, you get your hands cut off if you're a thief. You get stoned for adultery, for homosexuality. So they've got a lot of celebrities who are protesting that. So there's 20 events have been canceled at the Beverly Hills Hotel. They've lost about $2 million in revenue. But there's actually one celebrity that is just dying to get in, and we caught this live video of him.
I'm sorry, sir, but there are no rooms available.
Don't you think I realize what's going on here, miss? Who do you think I am, huh? Don't you think I know that if I was some hotshot from out of town that pulled inside here, and you guys made a reservation mistake, I'd be the first one to get a room, and I'd be upstairs relaxing right now. But I'm not some hotshot from out of town. I'm a small reporter from Rolling Stone magazine that's in town to do an exclusive interview with Michael Jackson that's going to be picked up by every major magazine in the country. I was going to call the article, Michael Jackson is sitting on top of the world, but now I think I might as well just call it, Michael Jackson can sit on top of the world just as long as he doesn't sit in the Beverly Palm Hotel, because there's no allowed in there.
Excuse me, sir. It seems that we do have a last-minute cancellation. There is a room available. It's a suite, but I'll only charge you the single room rate.
Thank you. I'm sorry I got upset. It's probably from jet lag or something. I'm very tired.
I understand,
What's
sir.
the rate, anyway?
That'll be $235 a night, sir.
That would be a steal, wouldn't it? It tells you a little bit of something about inflation. Since the mid-1980s, you could stay at a posh Beverly Hills hotel for a little over $200. Now you're starting to see Motel 6 approach those levels. I guess they should ask Janet Yellen about that, maybe along with the oligarchy question. Now, we also had John McCain, an article by Paul Joseph Watson, saying that Americans should accept that their private conversations are being monitored. He says, yeah, that's just the way we live today. He says it's the world we're living in. You know, you don't like it, but you just live with it. Let's get this soundbite from John McCain.
I wanted to ask you about Donald Sterling. That obviously what he said.
Look, we can have a short conversation. Unacceptable, racist. I'm glad what they did. And I read that one of the really great guys I've ever known, Kevin Johnson, was one of the people who was integral in that. Unacceptable. I'm glad they did it. End of story.
But what about taping somebody in his own home?
Well,
using that.
It's the world we live in. It's the world we live in. You don't like it, but everything I say, I expect to be recorded. And that's just the way we live, Dan. I mean, it's something you got to accept. I don't particularly like it.
Okay, so what Dan Sterling said was unacceptable. I agree. But, of course, you need to accept the police state. That's just the way it is. I mean, you know, why can't we just say, well, you know, hey, you know, racism, Dan Sterling's racism, that's just the way it is. Just accept it. It's the world that we live in. No, we don't accept that. We don't accept the police state either. This article is also up on InfoWars from RT. Anti-spying NSA bill wins its first round in U.S. Congress. They're not really going to stop anything with the NSA. What they're really doing, if you read the article, is instead of keeping the information with the government and having the government store it, they're going to outsource the tyranny to private contractors, as we've seen over and over again. They're not going to stop anything. They're just going to hand out the contracts to their crony capitalist friends. We've seen this going on for a long time with prison and with PRISM and other. Of course, it is a prison. We are living in a panopticon prison. But we don't have to accept this. We should not accept this. It's coming up to the one-year anniversary of the Snowden leaks. And we must not get conditioned to accepting living in a police state. We shouldn't accept having somebody like John McCain as a senator either. Somebody who wants to get us involved in every single conflict in the globe while he spies on Americans at home. And we're going to be talking about what happened in Kiev, what the CIA is doing with death squads there when we come back. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run.